Guys, if you want low testosterone, then by all means, go full carnivore. Here's the problem with carnivore, or with any elimination diet. It's the perception of feelings versus what is actually occurring physiologically. Those are not the same thing. And on this diet, they point in opposite directions. You cut the carbs, you lose body fat, and then you get confused because all of a sudden you have 4 barely visible abs and a bicep vein, and you have convinced yourself that you are jacked and shredded at the same time. Most of them just look soft and frail to me. So let's go through what is actually happening underneath that bicep vein. Because you need carbs for optimal testosterone. That is not an opinion, it's physiological fact. Start with the study because the number is not small. In 2022, researchers pooled 27 studies on 309 healthy, active men. Now, the important part is that they didn't treat all low carb the same way. They split it. Moderate protein with low carbs barely touch testosterone. That version is fine. If that's what you're doing, this video isn't about you. But the high protein version with very low carbs, the exact style that carnivore diets force you into, dropped total testosterone by about 150 nanograms per deciliter. 150. That is ridiculously significant. And that is pooled data on healthy active men, not a case study, not one guy on the internet who felt amazing for 6 weeks. So the question stops being whether it happens and becomes why, because there are 4 separate mechanisms underneath that number. 4. And they all run in the same direction, which is why the effect is as large as it is. Let's take them one at a time. The first one is about where your testosterone actually is. Your testosterone isn't just floating around free. Most of it is locked onto SHBG, a protein your liver makes. Think of SHBG as a parking boot. Booted testosterone can't drive into cells, and it can't convert into DHT, the stronger androgen that actually does the masculine work. So the question that matters isn't how much testosterone you have, it's how much of it can move. Now here's the link to food, and it's direct. Glucose arriving at the liver turns the SHBG gene down. Less SHBG gets made, fewer boots. Cut the carbs, and your liver starts manufacturing more parking boots. SHBG shoots up, free testosterone falls. DHT falls with it. Everything that makes you feel physiologically like a man starts fading. And here's why this one is so easy to miss. You can have a total testosterone number that still looks acceptable on paper while all of this is happening. The total is not the thing that walks into the cell. The second mechanism runs through your thyroid. And this is the one that surprises people because they don't think of the two as connected at all. 2 weeks of zero carbs and active thyroid hormone, T3, can crash 47%. 2 weeks, 47%. And this isn't a calorie effect hiding in the numbers. Same calories being equal, with just 50 grams of carbs added, and the drop was far milder. Carbs preserve T3. So low carbs means low testosterone and lower thyroid production at the same time. Now, why would thyroid hormone have anything to do with testosterone? Because your testicles have thyroid receptors. T3 lands on the Leydig cells, the cells that make your testosterone, and it sets the speed of production. Less T3 equals less testosterone, and T3 requires carbs, so follow the whole chain. No carbs, low T3, low Leydig cell activity, high SHBG, low testosterone. That's not 4 coincidences stacked up. That's one chain, and you pulled the first link. DHT production is even more sensitive than testosterone. And DHT matters more than most men realize. It's the stronger androgen. It's the one that actually builds muscle, drive, and aggression. Testosterone is the raw material. DHT is what it becomes. The enzyme that converts testosterone into DHT needs NADPH. And NADPH comes from a glucose-driven pathway. So no glucose means less NADPH. Less NADPH means less DHT. Read that chain again because of what it actually means. You're not just losing testosterone, you are starving the stronger androgen, the one doing the work you wanted the testosterone for in the first place. Think about the logic of it for a second. You cut carbs to get leaner and harder, and the pathway you cut is the one that makes the hormone responsible for lean and hard. Then there's the gut. And this one is completely invisible from the outside. The bacteria that produce butyrate, the compound that keeps your gut wall sealed, feed on certain fibers and starches. which is exactly what an all-meat diet removes, not reduces, removes. Starve them long enough on pure meat and the wall gets leaky. Endotoxin leaks into the blood, and endotoxin does two separate things, both of them bad for the same system. It shuts down Leydig cells, the testosterone factory we just talked about, and it blocks the LH signal coming from your brain, which is the signal that tells those cells to work in the first place. So the factory gets shut down and the order to produce never arrives. That's another direct hit to testosterone. From the gut. From a diet that a lot of men adopted specifically to fix their gut. 4 mechanisms now: SHBG, T3, NADPH, endotoxin. Different systems, different tissues, all pointing the same way. Which is why the men who follow this diet never build any meaningful muscle, little to no applicable strength. They sleep like trash, their mood is flat, and their sex drive is on life support. But congratulations on that bicep vein. And here's the thing that should tell you everything you need to know. This is the reason carnivores never post lab work. Think about how strange that is. This is a community obsessed with optimizing male hormones. Endless talk about testosterone. And almost nobody publishes their panel. They don't want to actually see what it's doing to their metabolic systems. Now compare that to what accountability actually looks like. The internet is full of nutrition gurus making extraordinary claims with zero receipts. So post yours. Post your food. Post your labs. Post the pictures of what you've actually built. Post your temperatures. The difference between confidence and conviction is receipts. The people who disagree only post their feelings. And that's the whole argument in one line. The problem was never the carbs. The problem was listening to people who treat food like a religion instead of biology. So let's name the thing. Some questions, and answer them honestly. Do you believe certain types of food that people have been eating for thousands of years are killing us? Do you believe either meat or plants are harmful to the body? Do you eliminate entire food groups or entire macronutrients from your lifestyle? Do you use fear-based words like mucus or defense chemicals as the basis for avoiding certain foods? Do you believe your food choices are largely due to your moral and intellectual superiority to others? Have you ever described a food as toxic without being able to explain the actual mechanism? Do you think one documentary revealed the nutritional truth that billions of people somehow missed? Is there a doctor or an influencer who wrote a book about nutrition that changed your life and you recommend it to people? If you're answering yes to those, that's a food cult. And none of these foods are the enemy. Meat isn't the enemy. Fruit isn't the enemy. Vegetables aren't the enemy. Carbohydrates aren't the enemy. Your diet doesn't need to be a religion. It doesn't need to be your personality. It doesn't need a cult following. So what does the alternative actually look like? It's boring, and that's the point. Grass-fed steak, broccoli, potatoes, some raw butter, high-quality ruminant protein for muscle and tissue repair. Potatoes for glycogen, performance, and metabolic flexibility. Broccoli for fiber and micronutrients. Fat for hormones and satiety. No obsession with eliminating entire food groups or macronutrients. No biohacking circus. Just nutrient-dense, balanced meals that support muscle growth, thyroid function, hormone production, recovery, performance, and long-term health. Your metabolism isn't a campfire that burns forever after you light it once. It's a furnace that needs fuel. Give it enough quality energy, enough movement, enough muscle, enough sleep, and enough nutrients, and it becomes remarkably good at doing what it was designed to do. Your body isn't broken because you ate carbohydrates. It's struggling because of years of chronically under-eating, crash dieting, overtraining, sleeping 5 hours a night, and living on caffeine. Strong enough to burn fat, healthy enough to use carbs, flexible enough to thrive in either environment. That's the standard worth chasing, because the answer is usually foundational. It's eating enough. Sometimes it's adding carbohydrates. Sometimes it's adequate sodium and electrolytes. Sometimes it's sleeping more, training differently, getting morning light, walking, or improving digestion. The answer isn't more elimination, more restriction, and more extreme measures. Stop looking at the body as a collection of isolated symptoms and start looking at it as an integrated biological system. Your thyroid doesn't operate in isolation. Your reproductive hormones don't operate in isolation. Your gut, liver, nervous system, mitochondria, and endocrine system are constantly communicating with one another. The fad diets come and go every few years. Human physiology hasn't changed much in hundreds of thousands of years. Food isn't your enemy. A dysfunctional metabolism is. Humans evolved to eat food, not to join diet cults.